In the previous session, we were discussing about food standards, and we are going to continue the same. Food standardization in India is having two types or two systems are there, in which the first one is compulsory legislation and second one is voluntary standards. This first one, compulsory legislation under food standardization, is the minimum basic standards of food quality to be maintained for every food, and it is the basic quality that has to be followed for every food items. And second one is voluntary standards, it is the optional, and that voluntary is taken up by the food companies for voluntary standards. So compulsory legislation like is like you are having a nursing degree is a minimum for becoming a nurse. Voluntary standards means you can go for you're having some extra seminars, symposium, conference, all this attending, and you can increase your nursing standards by your own options. It's your left to your choice. So like that, in food standards we are having both compulsory and voluntary. So let us continue with detail compulsory legislation. So compulsory legislation, this means it is a minimum and basic quality that should be maintained for the food, and no one should going to violate this legislation. According to this, there are two uh, acts are there. One is Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, and another one is Essential Commodities Act. So in the first one, Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, which was formulated in 1954, according to this, the statutory regulation is going to protect the common consumer against the supply of adulterated food products. The legislation is laid to ensure that the consumers or people, common people, are going to get a quality food free from adulterations. Uh, and hence, this legislation ensures that no person shall manufacture, sell, store, distribute any adulterated or misbranded food products. So all these are considered as illegal, and action can be taken. And the standards to intend food safety is ensured. The safeguard of the food against harmful impurities, contaminants, and adulteration is prescribed in this legislation. And the breaking of these rules by any food companies is going to have both fine and imprisonment as a punishment. So this is about in compulsory legislation. The first one, Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, and second one is Essential Commodities Act. See, according to this Essential Commodities Act, everyone should know that common people should get all the essential commodities for day-to-day life. If anyone is going to use these essential commodities for making the profit and going to store it and make scarcity in the society, and want to make advantage by scarcity, um, artificial scarcity, that can be taken as illegal, and then it can be punished. So to ensure that common commodities are going to be available, this act was implemented. And according to this, the objective of this act is to regulate production and manufacture regulation of essential commodities act, and also commerce and trading of these commodities. Under this, there are three important control orders are there. In this, the first one is fruit product order, which is short form FPO, which is going to ensure that the essential fruits are available for the common people, and artificial storage, artificial increasing of the prices, and then stocking of these fruits are going to be regulated. And the second one is oil, flour, and meat. These are also essential commodities. Oil is required every day, flour and meat is also every day using commodities. They are also be regulated and controlled by this one, and this act. And second third one is the milk and milk product order. This is also essential commodities. They are going to control the milk and milk product supply according to this, the third milk product order. So this is about the compulsory legislation. So let us go for the voluntary regulation. So in voluntary, we are going to have in voluntary standards, we are having ISI standards and UGMARC. So these voluntary standards are optional. The companies are going to opt for these standards for further increasing their standardization and quality, and so that the consumers can go for these items. So if you are having a degree, that's enough. But if you are having a extra diploma or any other seminar symposium like that in your biodata for nursing, that will add give an extra advantage for you wherever you go. So it will increase your quality of biodata. So like that, voluntary standards, it's like your own option. It is not seminar conference, they are not compulsory, but if you do that, it will be a added quality for your resume or biodata. So similarly, in voluntary standards are like that. These food standards are going to be voluntarily opted by the companies, and in this we are going to study first one, agmark. Agrimark is derived from agricultural marketing, and the words as underlined is taken to make Agmark, and it is set up by Directorate of Marketing and Inspection. This covers the standardization of various raw materials for and finished agricultural produce. So assessment of quality of cereals, spices, oils, seeds, butter, ghee, legumes, and categorizing products into various grades according to the quality, and also specify the types of packing. So if you go for electronic items, if you are having ISI mark, it is a trusted one. Similarly for gold, hallmark. So similarly for food products, we are having agmark. So that will give tells you the standard of the food, and we easily, without any doubt, we can able to purchase these things. So these are going to be monitored by the Director of Marketing and Inspection, and any food products having this agmark is considered as safe and pure and good for consumption. So this is about the voluntary standards first one, agmark. Next we are going to continue with the ISI mark, India Standard Institute. ISI means, so this is prescribed by Bureau of Indian Standards, and it covers the various processed and raw materials, processed foods like various fruits, juices, and etc. And raw materials. This defines the quality of vegetable and fruits and spices, condiments, and animal products. They are in good conditions. They are checked by the this Bureau of Indian Standards, and then only the seal is given. And this Bureau of Indian Standards short form is BIS. It gives a certificate of ISI standards if they meet the prescribed standards of BIS. Then if ISI mark is there, if you see in any food products, you can easily, without any doubt, you can purchase it, and it is free from contaminants and safe for consumption. The next one is the recommended dietary allowance. It is also called as in short form RDA. Recommended dietary allowance is defined as the average daily dietary intake of nutrients that is sufficient to meet the nutritional requirement of nearly all healthy individuals in a particular life stage or gender group. So short form, if I want to tell you, see if uh, in a house, if two members are there, how much vegetables you require, and how if a and groceries is required items for cooking for two people. And also if a family is having five members, how much ration or food is required. If you just make sure, it is you can see the difference. So for the amount of vegetables and groceries required for two people and five people is not the same for 1 week. So similarly, the RDA is also same, that is going to tell you how much food, energy, proteins, and all the nutrients are required for different age groups. So our age groups, we are having different age groups, and they don't have the same nutritional requirement, and also different physical work conditions are there, health conditions are there. According to all these conditions, the recommended dietary allowance is uh, implemented. So ensure the complete nutritional uh, for of a person. So you should the average dietary intake, it should is sufficient to meet the nutritional requirement of all healthy individuals of different age, life stage, like infant, toddler, preschool going, school going, uh, adult, and then young adult, old adult, like that. In different ages, RDA is recommended, and also according to the sex, also males, females, and physical conditions, sedentary lifestyle, or heavy work, all these conditions. The RDA of a country population is designed based on the current scientific knowledge on nutrition requirement. We are having different nutrition institutions which are going to conduct the RDA for a different location and different age groups and sex and dietary habits. So ICMR, Indian Council for Medical Research, is responsible for setting up, reviewing the and revision of RDA. So they are going to do surveys and they are going to prescribe the RDA for different age groups and all these things. And next one is factors of affecting or influencing RDA. So recommended dietary allowance, what a child will eat, the same type of food or same amount of food is not eaten by a old age person and also a young age person. The eating habits and also the nutrition requirement is not same in all the age groups. So what a heavy work doing person will eat and what the simple work doing person will eat is not the same. So based on this, so many things are involved: physical activity, pregnancy and lactation, age is also influencing the RDA. Significance, the RDA is very important. It influence on our daily nutrition requirement. So RDA list is going to help you to how much you should take intake according to your all these factors, and ensure that you can get a good health, so or a balanced diet. So it is essential in a hospital for making a preparation of balanced diet for a patient while treatment, so that you can consider all these factors to recommend a diet. So next, this is the RDA list you can see here. First one is the group, second particulars, what type of work he is going to do. First one is going to tell you the age and also the weight of a person, and then remaining energy, protein, how much required fat, calcium, iron, and vitamins, how much is required according to the age and work they are mentioned. So this is you have to. This is a illustration for RD. Next one is energy. Energy is defined as a capacity to do work, and the prime purpose of food, what we are eating, is main purpose is energy, followed by other functions like growth, maintenance, etc. The three important food nutrients are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, which are involved in the production of energy. So these are directly involved in the energy production, and the key energy food nutrient is carbohydrate, followed by lipid and protein. Units of energy. The energy can be calculated, and there is a unit for that. For every um, this one you, in SI units, you can see the energy units are measured in calorie or joule, like that. So here you can food energy is calculated in calorie. Energy content of food is measured in kilocalorie. So energy content of food is measured by calorimetric methods. So how much 1 gram of a food, whatever the food you eat, you can ask question how much energy is obtained. So for that is what we are going to be calculated by a process called as calorimetric methods. So direct calorimetry or indirect calorimetry. So you can estimate energy production from any type of food of a particular quantity by direct or indirect method. So first one is direct method. In that we are going to be estimating energy released in direct measured by heat produced. So how much heat is produced, it is going to explain how much energy is uh, liberated. When known amount of food is oxidized, the heat produced in the form of uh, energy produced in the form of heat is calculated, and it is estimated by a instrument called as bomb calorimeter or Rosa respiratory calorimeter. And indirect calorimetry, the energy released is measured indirectly by oxygen consumed, whereas in direct calorimetry we are going to uh, measure by heat produced. In second one we are going to measure by oxygen consumed. So in this we are having Benedict calorimeter and Max Planck respirometer. So this is about calorimetries. Next one is a bomb calorimeter. This is the instrument commonly used to measure the energy content of the food materials. In this, if you ask 1 gram of rice, if I eat, how much energy is produced in the body? So that is what is explained by the calorimeter. So you can calculate how much 1 gram of rice can produce energy by an instrument called as bomb calorimeter. A known amount of food means 1 gram of food you can take and oxidize in this instrument, and heat produced is calculated in the form of the rise in temperature in the water present in the instrument, and then you can get the calorie values of the food. So this is the instrument of bomb calorimeter. It is a setup where oxygen is there, and then temperature, and the oxygen is going to combust the known quantity of food kept in the crucible, and the heat liberated is going to be taken up by the water in the blue color, and it is going to be rise in temperature is calculated in the thermometer. In the right side you can see thermometer. So before the combustion and after the combustion, what is the difference of the temperature is measured, and then that is used to calculate the amount of energy released from the food. So we will continue in the next session.